Welcome to Legal Potions by LBC Law Group. My name is John Courtney. Let's talk about the United States of America today. I think this is appropriate for the 250th anniversary of the United States. Here we go. So, July 4th, 1776, a new country was formed. Or was it? By that time, 2 generations had been born on this soil, North America. We also spoke differently from the British. We had our own dialect. We were already very different, but we were still under the British Crown. On July 2nd, 1776, our Congress said, you know what, no more. We want independence from Great Britain. July 4th is the date that's actually on the Declaration of Independence. But was it signed by 56 people on that day? No. In fact, most of them didn't sign it until about August 2nd, 1776. And at least one of the signers didn't even sign it until 1781. So I know you've seen that art before. It's a portrait of 56 men in the same room with their feathered pens to sign the Declaration of Independence. But that's not what happened. That's total fiction. That's art. But I'll tell you something that's not total fiction. 25 of those 56 signers were attorneys. Why? Attorneys generally learn how to write laws. Attorneys generally are wordsmiths. Attorneys have to be precise and exact in their language so that there's no ambiguity in the meaning of each term. That's a lawyer skill set. And there were 25 people involved with that Declaration of Independence, drafted by none other than lawyers. It's pretty much the same today. If you look at your state representatives, your legislatures, who create the laws, you'll find that a great many of them, if not most of them, are attorneys. And the ones that actually draft the statutes are generally attorneys. But for us to escape the king and the lords and their form of government, we had lawyers that had an interest in making sure that us as Americans would be entitled to a heightened due process standard. We wanted to make sure that we as Americans couldn't be executed based on false accusations. We learned before 1776, during the Salem witch trials, that you could be convicted just based on the amount of people who testified against you. And that's not due process. So we had that in the backs of our minds when we drafted the Declaration of Independence and decided to form our own government. So what is the Declaration of Independence? It's a few things. On the one hand, it's a declaration of war. It's something that we knew would upset the king. We knew that if we signed it, we'd signed our own death warrants. But it's also a document full of ideals. All men were created equally. Took us a long time to finally iron that out, but that was the ideal supporting this document. That there shouldn't be kings. That we should be governed by our own, by our neighbors. That we should not be governed by a monarch. So when we were drafting the Declaration of Independence, we had a backdrop. We already had history here. It started with Jamestown, 1607, but then the larger settlement, the second one, Plymouth. We call them Pilgrims, around 1620. And interestingly, the Pilgrims came to the New World because they sought religious freedom. They didn't want to be persecuted in Europe. They had first fled to the Netherlands, from the Netherlands to North America, and they felt like they were being persecuted in both England and the Netherlands. Hence, they came here for religious freedom. But after they arrived, they decided religious freedom's not such a good idea after all. We should persecute everyone who doesn't think exactly like us on the religious side. And so that's in the backdrop when we're talking about real freedom of religion. And that's one of the ideals that's at least started at the time of the Continental Conventions, the Declaration of Independence, and it eventually became the First Amendment to our Constitution, a right to freedom of religion. And who better to talk about laws governing freedoms than lawyers? We began this American experiment at least by 1776, maybe before, maybe a little after. It wasn't until 1789 that these lawyers got together and drafted a constitution. They also drafted some amendments, the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, drafted by lawyers. All the way up through 1992, we kept amending this Constitution. It was amended in my lifetime. It's a work in progress. We try to learn from the past. We learned from the Salem witch trials. We try not to repeat some of the past, like the Salem witch trials. And we're still doing that today. Did we become perfect in 1776? Of course not. Are we perfect now? No. Humans are imperfect. No human is perfect, so no collective of humans could be perfect. We have our faults. We see our injustices, and they've been many, and some of them gross injustices, and they still happen, and they'll probably happen forevermore. It'll always be rolling. It'll always be happening. There will likely always be lawyers involved to write new laws, to strike down laws that don't work, perhaps make more amendments to our Constitution, and to find better ways for people to seek justice and get justice. If you feel like you've been wronged, the starting place, as you probably already know, is a lawyer's office. All of that said, living on this soil makes us some of the luckiest people in the world. Happy 250th.